I'm going to show you how to study smarter, not harder. Cut down your study from 10 hours to 2 hours while getting 8 hours of sleep and acing all your exams. Let's dive into it. Number 1, you need to read to understand, because 9 times out of 10, if you're reading from memory, you won't remember. You won't remember because you're reading it word for word to remember word for word, and then if you mix up one word, the whole paragraph is thrown off and you don't know how to answer the question anymore. So to combat that, what you need to do is read to understand so that you can rephrase it in the way that you understand instead of trying to remember word for word. Number 2, active recall. So instead of writing directly from your PowerPoint, writing directly from your textbooks, it's best to actually ask yourself questions. Like, it's much more effective than note taking. I am really a note girly. Like, I love writing my notes, getting my pretty highlighters and making it look cute. But because your brain is not really putting in effort to actually remember stuff, it's just writing passively from a textbook or PowerPoint, the information isn't really transferring over to long-term memory. So what we need to do is question ourselves. Like, we need to be asking ourselves questions about the topic. For example, say we're talking about statistics. So instead of just writing what a statistics is, what population is and stuff like that, and just making the pretty notes in your book, what you need to do is put that information in Quizlet. It's going to change your life. Put it in Quizlet or Anki, whichever is better for you. I use Quizlet because sometimes the information is already on Quizlet. People already post their stuff on Quizlet, so you don't really need to write your own stuff, but it also helps if you do. So say you write your statistics on the back on the flashcard, because Quizlet is a flash, you get the drift. You put the answer, so you just each time you just check it and question yourself, what is this, and you answer it back. Each time you do that, it actually transfers over to memory instead of just reading over your notes passively. It doesn't last long, and there's actually evidence for this. It was done by Spitzer, and I know I'm getting a little nerdy, but there is evidence for it that shows that note taking is not effective at all. Like, it's really not. It's more for understanding instead of for memory and taking exams. The best way to go about it is by doing practice tests and practice questions, and over time you questioning yourself, being in a group or questioning each other and stuff like that, you're more likely to remember instead of rereading your notes. So in this study done by Spitzer, what he did was have some students take a test by studying regularly, like what they normally do, like rereading, highlighting, stuff like that, and the other set to do a practice test before the exam. Guess who passed? Guess who aced the exam? The people who did the practice test. And this study was also done by other people that proved that taking notes is not as effective as we think, and that's why we be so forgetful, unless you have a photographic memory or something like that, which is also known to be a myth too. So pick a struggle. Do you want to make pretty notes and not remember things for exams, or do you want to do practice tests on Quizlet and on Anki and ace your exams? You choose. Number 3 is spaced repetition. I love this one. So it's spaced repetition. If you don't know, we have a forgetting curve. So after some time, we forget 75% of the stuff we read or study. So to shorten that curve, what we need to do is repeat the stuff that we're studying, not by rereading, not by reading from memory, but by practicing active recall. So in the example before, when we were talking about using Quizlet, using Anki, what we're going to do is each day we are going to go into Anki or Quizlet and question ourselves by looking at the flashcards, asking ourselves the questions over and over on different days, maybe for 15 minutes each day. And by doing that, it reduces our forgetting curve and we're more likely to remember because of the pace, repetition. It adds up over time, so it's more easier for you to remember. So let's go over what we said. We talked about understanding. Ensure that you're understanding what you're reading and not just reading from memory. Second thing is that we spoke about active recall. So question yourself instead of note taking. 3 is spaced repetition. So we space that out. Whatever we're doing, whatever we're studying, whatever we're questioning ourselves about, we space it out. So every day for 15 minutes, I will study my statistics flashcards. Get the drift? I hope you get the drift. Let's move on to number 4. This is the Pomodoro Technique. I love this technique. It feels like you're not even studying as long as you think you are. Like, what you do is you study for 25 minutes and you give yourself a 5-minute break. So you set your alarm, set your timer, 25 minutes, when it's up, you stop. And you do whatever you want for 5 minutes. Take a walk, get some water, do something else, check your messages or something like that. And it makes it so refreshing. It makes you feel like you're not even studying as long as you think you are, which I love, because we know we have to put in that work, especially for exams. So if you can get that little 5 minutes, it makes a world of difference. I promise you. You'll be surprised at what you can do in that short span of 25 minutes undistracted. Like, and for this to work, put your phone in a different room, because it will be tempted for you to check if the timer is almost done in your first 25 minutes. But after you get into the groove, like, you're like, you don't even care. Like, you even forget that you've been doing it for 25 minutes. And then out of nowhere, the alarms go off and they're like, oh, 25 minutes ends, so I can have 5 minutes to myself. It really does work. So ensure that you have this one written down in your notes, okay? Perfect. Number 5, time blocking. You need to block out time. Have you noticed that when you procrastinate and wait last minute, you get the work done? Like, you get your work done even quicker than you thought you'd have gotten it done? It's because you're so keen, you're so focused, you want to get it done, and you literally have no time to waste. So if you apply that same focus while having time, then it's going to be amazing. It's going to be great because you get the work done in less time than you think you have. So set time blocks. Give yourself 2 hours per course. So if you have 4 courses, that should be 8 hours, and you'll break it down in 25 minutes sections when studying using a Pomodoro technique. You see what we're building on each step. But say you're doing assignments, give it 2 hours of focus. Zone in, get yourself a nice cup of coffee or whatever you like, get the vibe right, light the candle, set the tone, set the environment for work, and just get going. And you'd be surprised at what you can do in that 2 hours of just focusing on one assignment. You'd be surprised, like, you could even complete the assignment just because you zoned in and you set that time to just focus on that one thing. So try that. Try doing time blocking. For assignments, you just focus 2 hours. If you're studying for exam, you break it down 25 minutes to the Pomodoro technique. For the 2 hours of assignment, though, what you could do is give yourself a 15-minute break after each 2 hours so that it doesn't feel like you're working for too long. If you get what I'm trying to say, to bring in the momentum. Yeah, it does work. Number 6, the Feynman Technique. This is also really helpful. It's similar to the active recall. You see, we're always going back to active recall. That's how important it is. So what you're going to do is try to explain what you learned to a 5-year-old, or to a cousin, or to a little sister, or somebody that doesn't know anything about the topic that you know about. And more than likely, they're going to ask you, like, why? How? What do you mean? I don't understand it. And when they do ask those questions, and you know to answer it, then you know that you actually fully understand the topic. But if they're asking you the why and how questions and you don't know how to answer it, then that's your cue that you need a little more brush up. You need a little more reading on that aspect of the topic, if you get what I'm trying to say. Because each time you're explaining it, you're remembering it. It's like it's going back into your memory, into your long-term memory, and that's what we love. That's what we want, bestie. Let's move on to number 7, group study. Group study is so important. It's so effective. Like, don't underestimate the power of studying in a group. Like, your friend probably heard something when professor said that you didn't hear, and just by interacting and studying together, you now know the information that you wouldn't have known if it was asked in an exam, and you wouldn't know how to answer that question because you didn't hear that part, but your friend did, and so you passed the exam. I know that's a stretch, but you get what I'm trying to say. Studying groups, use the Pomodoro Technique together. Set the timer for 25 minutes. You all study, you all take the break, you chit chat, you laugh, you have fun, you question each other using the active recall. Yeah, you see what I'm trying to say? You see what I'm trying to do? All these steps build, all these steps add on each other. It all helps. So study in groups, it will change your life. It will help you out so much. Using as much as these tips and techniques as possible guarantees you an A in all exams. I'm just the messenger. I'm just letting you know, using all these techniques will definitely get you an A in all exams. Okay? Number 8, the retrospective revision timetable. Bro, this changed my life, changed my perspective. Like, as a person who love using timetables and never following up, I hope I'm not the only one. Like, I'd be saying on Sunday I'm going to study for accounts, on Monday I'm going to study for maths, on Tuesday I'm going to study for FOL or POM, and I end up not doing it. You could blame it on motivational or not being disciplined, but there's a better way. It's a much better way to do it that will save you much more time. The retrospective revision timetable. I got this from Ali Abdal, one of my favorite creators on here. So, if you know, you know. And what he says is, instead of having what you're going to do on each day, write down the subjects that you have in a column, write down the dates next to it, and whatever you know, you color code it. So what you don't know, you put a red box around it. What you know a little bit of based on studying, you put a yellow around it, and what you know fully, you put a green around it. So what you're doing on each of these days is you're not reading over your notes. You're not reading for memory. What you're doing is practicing active recall by questioning yourself using Anki or Quizlet, or close the book, look away, and answer questions, stuff like that. So for example, accounting. There are some jargons in accounting that you have to know and stuff like that. So every time you want to study or study theory and stuff like that, what you would do is, say for example, I want to do the study on January 28th, right? On January 28th, I'll just circle where I'm at in accounting based on what I know. So if I know a little bit, I'm not completely dumb in regards to that topic, I'll color it or put a box around it that's yellow. Then on the next day, I'll put green if, after questioning myself using active recall, using Quizlet or Anki or physical flashcard, and I get everything correct, then on that day, bestie, I'm green. That means I know this topic well. That means for exams, I don't need to do too much revisiting of that topic because I've been doing the active recall every day, and based on this table, I'm green almost basically every day. So I don't really need to be focusing on that for exams. This timetable really helps you out with exams. It cut down your exam study hours from 10 hours to possibly 3 or 4, because you don't need to be studying so much of this topic because you already did this every day and you know that this area is green. So you can focus that time in another topic or area that you have been reading or yellow in for multiple days. Life-changing. It's life-changing. I know. I'm practicing this right now and I'm telling you it really does help, and you need to check it out. Or if you're a person that needs to be completely organized, what you can do is say, like, on January 28th, I am gonna study accounting POM, maths on this day, but on that, when the time comes for you to study or question yourself, because we know we're not really taking notes no more like that, we're questioning yourself using Anki or a Quizlet or physical flashcards. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna study. You're gonna question yourself on the particular areas on unit 1 and see what you know. Then you're going to put the box around it and say, okay, on this day, January 28th, after questioning myself, I'm at yellow. So I know something, but I don't know everything. So tomorrow I'm going to come back and do the same thing and maybe get to a green. Besties, like I'm telling you, this is the new way to go about it. Forget the pretty notes. Forget about it. I know we love it, but this really helps. If you notice, I've been mentioning active recall in every step because that's really the goal. That's really where the memory is. That's really what's going to cut down our forgetting curve. That's where it's at. And we've come to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Comment down below what tips you're going to try. If you're going to try all of them, what you agree, what you don't agree with. And watch my other video that I did last week about surviving college. Bye!